Donald J. Trump stared into the golden toilet. It was his toilet. A symbol of his opulence and grandeur, a testament to his taste for the extravagant. The golden toilet he installed himself, a piece of art in his eyes, a throne befitting his self-proclaimed royalty, the one the liberals said he shouldn't have. They called it wasteful, a symbol of excess in a time of need. But to him, it was a statement. The one he knew was classy, big league classy. It was more than just a toilet. It was a declaration of his success, his power, his unmatched taste. But today, it was his portal to another dimension, a gateway to the unknown, hidden beneath the golden sheen. Who knew flushing while tweeting angry lies about the deep state could have such consequences? His fingers furiously tapping away, oblivious to the impending doom. He saw a swirling vortex of blue water and something else, something buzzing. The sound grew louder, more menacing, as if the very air was alive with it. Before he could tweet, "Witch hunt!" the vortex sucked him down, along with his phone, which, tragically, he dropped. His lifeline to the world, lost in the swirling chaos. The last thing he heard before the darkness took him was the echoing chant of "Lock him up! Lock him up!" The words reverberated through the void, haunting and relentless. But this time it wasn't angry protesters. It was something far more sinister, more primal. It was flies, millions of them, a dark, buzzing cloud that seemed to consume everything in its path, a fitting end to a tale of excess and hubris. Trump awoke to a blinding light. It was so intense that he had to shield his eyes with his hands, squinting to make out his surroundings. He was covered in something. It was thick, gooey, and clung to his skin like a second, unwanted layer. It was sticky and smelled like old bananas and regret. The stench was overwhelming, making his stomach churn. He tried to speak, but something flew into his mouth. It was sudden and unexpected, causing him to gag. He spat it out, gagging. It was a fly. The taste was horrid, and he could feel its tiny legs wriggling on his tongue before he expelled it. A very fat, very happy fly. He looked around, trying to make sense of his bizarre predicament. He was in a giant, disgusting heap of, well, let's just say, it was everything you'd find under a New York City subway grate in August. The sight was nauseating. The air was thick with flies. They swarmed around him, creating a living, buzzing cloud. Big flies, small flies, all kinds of flies. Flies with weird spiky legs, all of them buzzing, landing on him, and worst of all, pooping. The sensation of their tiny feet and the thought of what they were leaving behind made his skin crawl. "Get me out of here!" Trump bellowed. His voice echoed, but there was no one to hear his desperate plea. But the only response was the insistent buzzing of a million tiny wings. It was maddening, a constant drone that filled his ears. "Welcome to the fly dimension, Donnie boy." The words echoed in his mind, a chilling reminder of his new grotesque reality. Initially, Trump was horrified. He was Donald J. Trump, for goodness sake. He didn't belong in a place like this. He belonged in a place with gold-plated everything and people who agreed with him constantly. He needed to take charge, to assert his dominance. But how? He decided to do what he did best, make promises he couldn't keep. He climbed atop the biggest pile of whatever it was, and cleared his throat. The flies, momentarily distracted from their feast of filth, turned their multifaceted eyes to him. "My fellow, flies," Trump began, feeling ridiculous already. "This place is a dump, a total disaster. But I, Donald J. Trump, can fix it. We're gonna make this place great again. We'll build a beautiful, tremendous wall to keep out the spiders, and we'll make the ants pay for it." The flies, being flies, weren't particularly impressed with his promises. They buzzed around his head, landed on his face, and generally ignored his attempts at oratory. Finally, one particularly large fly with a nasty cough landed on his nose and coughed up a wad of something green and gooey. See, the fly buzzed. Nobody cares. And then it flew off, leaving Trump covered in phlegm and disappointment. Section 5, 4 Seasons. Total landscaping for flies. Undeterred, Trump decided to fall back on his business acumen. He would build a luxury resort, a palace of indulgence for flies, right here in the heart of the fly dimension. He'd call it Trump Fly Tower, and it would be amazing. He gathered the flies and laid out his grand vision. We'll have the finest rotting fruit, the stickiest honey, the most fragrant manure. It'll be fantastic, believe me. The flies naturally swarmed all over the building materials. Trump Tower Fly, it turned out, looked less like a luxury resort and more like a particularly disgusting compost heap. Section 6. Making deals. Frustrated but not defeated, Trump decided to try a different tactic. He had faced many challenges before, but this one was unlike any other. The fly dimension was a place of chaos and unpredictability, and he needed to adapt quickly if he wanted to survive. He would make deals, forge alliances with the most powerful flies in the dimension. These alliances were crucial for his survival and eventual escape. Trump knew that in order to gain their trust, he had to offer something valuable in return. He approached the biggest, nastiest fly he could find, a hulking brute with bulging eyes and a wicked stinger. This fly was known for its ruthlessness and power, making it the perfect ally for Trump's plan. "Look," Trump began, trying to sound confident, "I need your help." He knew that showing any sign of weakness could jeopardize the deal. "I can make you rich, powerful," Trump continued, trying to appeal to the fly's desires. He had to think quickly and come up with something that would entice the fly to join forces with him. "You'll be swimming in whatever it is you flies like." He hesitated for a moment, unsure of what exactly flies desired, but he hoped his offer would be enough. "Just help me get out of this place." Trump's desperation was evident, but he tried to mask it with determination. The big fly looked at Trump, then at his own reflection in Trump's sweaty forehead. It seemed to be contemplating the offer, weighing the pros and cons. "Tell you what," the fly buzzed. "You scratch my back, I'll keep buzzing around your head. Sound like a deal?" Desperate, Trump agreed. He had no other choice but to accept the terms, hoping it would lead to his escape. But as he soon learned, making deals in the fly dimension was a lot like making deals in the human world, messy, unpredictable, and rarely in his favor. The flies were cunning and always looking for ways to exploit any weakness. Trump had to stay on his toes and be prepared for anything. The alliances he formed were fragile, and he had to constantly navigate the treacherous landscape of the fly dimension. Every deal came with its own set of challenges, and Trump quickly realized that trust was a rare commodity in this world. He had to rely on his instincts and experience to survive, knowing that one wrong move could spell disaster. The fly dimension was a place where only the strongest and most cunning could thrive, and Trump was determined to be one of them. Section 7. A very special counsel. News of Trump's arrival in the fly dimension eventually reached the human world. People were shocked, amused, and in some cases, slightly envious. The news even reached a certain former special counsel, who was enjoying a quiet retirement after a long career of upholding the law. He read the headlines with a wry smile. "Trump in the fly dimension," one read. "Ex-president finds new home among filth," proclaimed another. He chuckled to himself. Well, he muttered, "seems like some justice is being served after all." He picked up his fly swatter, a gleam in his eye. After all, a little pest control never hurt anyone. Section 8. Escape from Buzz City. Life in the fly dimension was a constant barrage of buzzing filth and the crushing realization that he was no longer in charge. Trump longed for the days when he could tweet whatever he wanted, no matter how ridiculous or untrue. He missed his rallies, his sycophants, his Diet Cokes. One day, while trying to explain the concept of a golden shower to a group of baffled flies, he stumbled upon something incredible. A shimmering portal, swirling with the same blue energy that had brought him here. Could this be his ticket out? Section 9. Reflections from Exile. He didn't hesitate. He jumped headfirst into the portal, ignoring the buzzing and the splattering of stuff as he disappeared. He landed with a thud, back in his golden-encrusted bathroom, phone still clutched in his hand, though now coated in a mysterious sticky goo. He looked around, dazed. Had it all been a dream? He looked at his reflection in the golden bowl. He was covered in grime, his hair was a mess, and he smelled like a dumpster fire. But strangely, he felt different. Humbled? Nah. Changed? Not a chance. He just really needed a shower. Section 10. Epilogue. Back in the fly dimension, life went on. The flies buzzed, they ate, they reproduced. Trump's brief reign of terror was quickly forgotten. However, there were whispers, legends passed down from one generation of flies to the next. Stories of a strange orange creature who spoke in riddles and promised them things they didn't understand. They called him the Great Orange Bumbler, and every now and then when the wind was right, you could almost hear the faint sound of a toilet flushing, a reminder that sometimes the most unbelievable stories are true. Or maybe it was just gas. It's hard to tell in the fly dimension.